Right now, somewhere in your body, there is a chemical that has no interest in your feelings. It does not care if you are ready. It does not care if the timing is terrible. It does not care if the person is completely wrong for you. It has one job: find a mate, produce offspring, keep the species alive. And it has been doing that job without your permission for 3 million years. We call it love. Science calls it something considerably less romantic. And the gap between those two things is the most interesting story in human biology. Ancient humans did not fall in love the way we tell the story, but they fell in love nonetheless. And the biology that drove them to do it is identical to the biology driving you right now. To understand how ancient humans fell in love, you first have to understand what love actually is. And what it is, at its most fundamental level, is a system. Anthropologists divide what we call love into 3 distinct systems. Each one evolved for a different purpose. Each one operates on a different chemical, and each one can fire completely independently of the others. System 1 is lust. It is driven primarily by testosterone and estrogen, hormones present in both males and females. Its only goal is to motivate the search for a mate. Mate System 2 is attraction. This is the one most people confuse with love. It is driven by dopamine. Attraction is what makes one specific person feel like the only person on Earth. It is obsessive. It is intrusive. System 3 is attachment. This is the one that keeps two people together after the initial rush fades. It is driven by oxytocin and vasopressin. These 3 systems evolved separately, over millions of years, for completely different reasons. Which is why you can feel deep attachment to one person, powerful attraction to another, and lust toward a third, all at the same time. This is not a flaw. This is the design. 3 separate systems, all running simultaneously. Now go back 50,000 years. A small group of humans, 20 to 30 people, moving across a landscape that is trying to kill them. No dating apps, no romantic dinners, no love songs, just bodies, just proximity. Just the daily reality of surviving alongside the same small group of people every single day with no way to leave and no one else to choose from. In that environment, attraction did not start with candlelight. It started with usefulness, with competence. Research on hunter-gatherer societies. Today, the closest living model we have to how ancient humans lived consistently shows that the most attractive qualities are not physical features alone. The top qualities that make someone attractive in surviving hunter-gatherer groups are being a good hunter or gatherer, meaning resource provider, being kind and cooperative within the group, being healthy, and being intelligent enough to solve problems. Physical health was part of it, but as a signal, not as an end in itself. Clear eyes, good posture, strong movement. These were readable indicators. This is why, even today, people are instinctively attracted to clear skin, symmetrical faces, and good posture. But attraction in the ancient world was not just about reading signals. It was also about displaying them. The oldest known jewelry on Earth dates back 130,000 years. Shell beads, found in Morocco, deliberately perforated and likely worn around the neck or wrist. Not for warmth, not for protection, for display. Body decoration. Ochre paint on skin, shells worn as beads, feathers in hair, shows up in the archaeological record tens of thousands of years before writing, before agriculture. Humans were trying to look attractive before we had words to describe what attractive meant. And then there was the thing that may have mattered more than any of it: voice, music, story. Evolutionary psychologists have noted that across virtually every human culture ever studied, one of the most universally attractive qualities is the ability to tell a good story. Not wealth, not physical size. Story, because a good story signals something that physical appearance cannot. Intelligence, social knowledge, the ability to understand other minds. This is why humor is one of the most consistently reported attractive qualities across cultures. Making someone laugh requires intelligence, timing. When ancient humans laughed together, they were not just enjoying themselves. They were evaluating each other. Every shared laugh was a data point. Now we come to the moment itself, the moment when the chemistry fires. When a specific person, out of everyone in the group, suddenly occupies more space in your brain than anyone else. Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist who has studied human love for decades, describes this moment as a narrowing of focus. The brain begins to treat one person as a unique individual. Before this moment, that person was just another member of the group. After it, they are the person, the one whose footsteps you track without meaning to, the one whose absence you notice. Dopamine is flooding the reward centers. Norepinephrine is making the heart pound. Serotonin levels are actually dropping. The chemistry of new love is almost identical to the chemistry of obsessive-compulsive disorder. Ancient humans experienced this exactly the same way. The obsessive focus on one person, the heightened awareness of where they were in the group. The physical response, elevated heart rate, disrupted sleep, loss of appetite. What was different was what they did about it. Because in a group of 20 to 30 people, where everyone sees everything, love could not be private. Every other member of the group had an interest in who paired with whom. Because pair bonding affected group dynamics, which means courtship in the ancient world was not between two people. It was between two people watched by everyone who mattered to their survival. There is evidence from multiple archaeological sites that pair bonding in prehistoric groups was often formalized through the group, not just between the two individuals. The community witnessed it. The community approved it, or didn't. This is where the story gets complicated. Because ancient humans were not monogamous by nature, but they were not purely polygamous either. Biologically, humans show signs of both mating strategies. Our testes size, our sperm competition markers, our hormone profiles, but our neurology also shows strong pair bonding circuitry. The same. Vasopressin and oxytocin systems found in species that mate for life, like prairie voles. What the evidence actually suggests is that ancient humans practiced what anthropologists call serial monogamy, with some degree of additional mating. Long-term pair bonds that could dissolve and reform. In practical terms, ancient humans fell deeply in love. The chemistry was identical to what you feel, but the context was radically different. In the ancient world, love had consequences that we have largely removed from the equation. A bad pairing could cost you your life. If you bonded with someone who could not hunt, could not protect, could not contribute, your children were more likely to die. You were more likely to die. The stakes of choosing wrong were existential, which is why the love system evolved to be intense. The obsession, the elevated chemicals, the inability to think about anything else, all of it designed to focus your entire cognitive and physical attention on one crucial decision. And what happened after that decision? After the pair formed, after the obsessive phase faded, after the dopamine normalized? That is where System 3 took over. Attachment. The slow, quiet chemistry that builds through shared meals, shared dangers, shared children, shared winters. Oxytocin and vasopressin doing what dopamine cannot. Ethnographic. Studies of hunter-gatherer. Societies show that long-term pairs develop something that looks remarkably like what modern humans call companionate love. Not the electric spark of new attraction. Something quieter, deeper, more load-bearing. There is a burial site in Russia, dating back 30,000 years, where two individuals were found interred together, side by side. Arm positions suggesting deliberate placement, decorated with ochre and ivory beads. We cannot know with certainty what their relationship was, but the care with which they were placed, the deliberate positioning, the decoration, the shared grave, says something was there, something that required two people to be placed together, something that made someone, 30,000 years ago, decide that these two belonged in the same ground. That is not biology. That is not survival strategy. That is something else, something the biology created the conditions for and then could not fully contain. This is the part of the story that makes scientists uncomfortable, because the data shows clearly that love is a system, a biological drive, a series of chemical events. But the data also cannot fully explain a burial. It cannot explain why someone dug a grave large enough for two. It cannot explain the ochre, the deliberate, time-consuming act of decorating a dead person before covering them with earth. It cannot explain the choice. The biology created the system. The system created the feelings. And the feelings created something that outlasted the person who felt them by 30,000 years. That is the full answer to how ancient humans fell in love. The same way you do, with the same chemistry, the same obsession, with the same stakes, at least emotionally, even if the survival consequences have changed. With the same capacity for attachment that builds slowly through proximity and shared experience and time, and with the same thing that no amount of science has been able to fully account for. That moment when someone stops being just a person and becomes the person. The biology created the conditions. Something else crossed the threshold. And 30,000 years later, two people are still lying in the same ground, side by side, together.